Everyone, Peter Racy here, Foundation Expo 88 YouTube channel, and we're working through the series talking about the Primary Industries Pavilion to lay the groundwork for the re-skinning of the pavilion up in Biloela. And this morning, we've already discussed the efforts that were gone to try and put together a bit of a funding stream for the maintenance of the complex at Biloela, which, as we've heard in the YouTube, didn't quite go to plan. However, we're now in this particular YouTube getting into the meat of it, because Jason Ford has re-digitalized those great collection of photos, Andrew, that you've given to the John Oxley Library. So if you want to just take us through, I'm hoping that you can play the collection of photos and just talk about I suspect, not an inconsiderable amount of heartache that you personally had in supervising the construction of the pavilion.
Peter, when we're in this business, you always remember the heartache. That when someone says to you, how about that project you did, you immediately go back to all the things that happened that you had to gain control over or do risk management. So the Primary Industry Pavilion was one of those, I suppose, high-risk private enterprise projects. And the first thing that we had to do was find a way forward to raise about $2.5 million in order to put the project together. They're $1987. And the consultants who joined to form the project team actually funded the front end of that project. That before we raised 1 cent, enormous amount of work went into gaining the approvals, to put the feelers out there in terms of marketing and who would participate. And there were a few real stalwarts in regard looking at the theme. It was always about selling the product from paddock to plate.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a really excellent topic for probably the next YouTube that we do.
Yes.
So just, I mean, that's fantastic that those companies come on board. What I was really sort of fishing for is those technical problems of, you know, did you use pile foundations? Did you drill? What sort of problems did you have in relation to get certification of the structure? Because it was a very unique structure that you were proposing. And I reckon that the certification of it would have been a challenge.
Well, it was business as usual for us. We were fortunate enough to piggyback on all of the technical data from a geotech point of view from all the other pavilions. So that was in-ground piling and in-ground works was really not a big issue. The single biggest issue was the size of the silo, which was 25 metres high, and we had to find a way of dealing with the wind loads. And as you know, just prior to the opening of Expo,
yeah, there was that big storm.
All of the sails suffered great damage, and our silo went through it without a problem. So we've always boasted about our conservative approach to engineering and to ensure that you didn't ever have to come back. Yeah. But also the other thing was we had to design it for demolition. So it wasn't just a matter of getting the bulldozers in at the end of the Expo. We had to dismantle it ready for transport, which was the idea of putting it into a regional township.
So how much, in percentage terms, how much of the structure and the building was actually relocated? I mean, I wouldn't have thought that the constructed part of the structure that looks like the header of the harvesting machine with all of its timber framing, I mean, that wouldn't have been relocated. So, but just roughly what sort of a percentage was relocated?
60%.
It's not bad.
Of the main structure, and obviously all of the canopy, all of the roof of the canopy, all of the lower exhibition area was relocated. As you said, the header was unable to be demolished and stored. So it was a demolition item. All of the external exhibits were sacrificed, and so they were very much a one-off landscaping item. So there was the pavilion came together as an outdoor space and an indoor space from paddock to plate.
After budget constrained.
Yes, that's right. So that was good, but I'll just show you these images here. We took our theme from the rural landscape, and you can see how significant the windmill is there, and then we converted that to the can you see that?
Yep, perfect.
That was the essence of the sketch. The concept of putting together a silo, you may understand that most silos are perpendicular tubes. They're just parallel cylinders. And our engineers quickly said that that wasn't going to be possible to repeat the traditional silo. So we had to come up with the what we call the cooling tower shape, which is the almost like a self-supporting shape against wind and thing. But up in the middle of it is this massive 1.2 diameter, 25 metre plus tube, which it cantilevered out of the ground from a giant footing, a massive footing, and it was the structural spine of the pavilion. So everything was then designed around that central pole. And
what I'm going to do is I'm going to somehow or other, I'm going to cut here, and I'm going to insert a really iconic photo that I took up in Billawheeler when I visited last year of the silo, because what they've done is after they relocated it up there, they've built it looks like a lake. It's not a dam, because a dam is obviously a wall that the water's held behind. This is an excavated hole, and you can see the reflection of the silo in the city in the water. It's just a beautiful photo. So next YouTube will be paddock to plate, although I must admit what we're starting out to talk about, we're doing a very good job of meandering around, but it's very interesting, and that's the point, because this is laying the platform down as to why it's so important for that structure to be reskinned and preserved for decades to come. So with that, again, thank you so much, Andrew.